It's the Daily Drama Podcast with Stephen Bradford, presented by dailydrama.com. And this is exciting. This is a repeat guest. And, well, we'll get into it. But Rick Hearst is here. Hi, buddy.
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Rick, what is up, buddy?
Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys.
I had the pleasure of seeing Rick at work.
Amazing.
For the first time. It was amazing. It's
Well,
great to have him back.
It is so funny. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking with Kristen Vaganos, and we were like, do you know who?
Very particular about how you pronounce their names.
Right. And I was like, do you know who your dad is? And so we started talking about this, and I don't know. She didn't seem to know that she was going to see you. And we were like, this is ripe for Rick to come back, because like the whole thing about, Molly and Kristina and Sonny, like, and Molly being the DA, which you used to be the DA. I was like, where's Rick in all this? And here you are. It's very exciting.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that was questions. You know how everything goes as story. You have to inject to sort of remind people to connect everything of who's related to who, and they all come back to Sonny. But for me, the great thing was on this is she wasn't. I didn't know that there was even the possibility of this coming back, of me coming back. About June, I got a sort of a blind. I got contacted via my Google Voice and my Facebook and then my Instagram, like all these different means of connecting with me from our casting director, Mark Teschner. And I'm like, that's awful intent. That's a lot of intent for just, hey, buddy, how you been? Sort of thing. And so I knew something was potentially up. And he basically said, what did you think about, maybe coming back for a little bit? Your daughter's going through all this kind of stuff. And I was like, first I was kind of, it's been 8 years. Look, let's be realistic. I'm like, I never thought, which is, you should never say that. I never thought there would be, the potential or possibility of me returning. And I was cool with that. I understand, storylines change, directions of shows change. It is what it is. But when he did say that, I was like, really? I said, yeah, cool. I mean, and then they got to start to talking a little bit, and then, kind of was giving me an extended period of time of what they were looking at, kind of. And I said, then I had to say, well, what's the story? Like, it's great to come back, but who am I connected with? Who am I going to be working with? And then she mentioned, you mentioned about me working with Kristen and, the situation there. And I thought it was great because you're looking at a continuation of two siblings who have been like this. And now you have two siblings who could potentially be like that. And it's great for, the current audience, which is obviously a historical audience anyway, because that's what we do.
Right.
But it was great to be able to be part of that and see how that translates and what we as the siblings, the parents of these siblings, handle it. Right. So I was thrilled. It was just
so whatever time frame they gave you, I know it's going to be longer.
Hey, we'll see what happens. Right?
No, well, I'm just saying that because of all the stories probably on the show, and as far as because there's always the nemesis to Sonny, right? And I believe that you were one, if not the greatest nemesis of Sonny and Jason, because there was skin in the game. There's a family relationship. Right. You had power of the DA, but you were willing to cross the line a little bit to get stuff done. Sonny was on the other side of the law, willing to cross the line. So you got these two guys going at each other, really. There were no, I mean, the stakes were high, but you guys would do anything to win.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Steve, is because the only way story like that or if conflict happens is if you have both characters or both parties or all parties in our case as well, knowing that we have a strong point of view. If you don't have a strong point of view, if you always feel like, I never get my ups or my character always blah, 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 blah. Look, man, you know what? You have justification and intent no matter what you're doing. No matter what you're doing, you play that out. It gives the strength of the other characters to become able to come back, and that's when you just get it.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about when you've been here long enough, Rick. In daytime, when people come on, they don't want to be the bad guy necessarily. They don't want to show weakness, so to speak. Going up against Sonny and all this stuff. And the great thing is that people really believed. I think it was because of the mutual respect that we all had for each other, but people really did believe that Rick could do something.
Yeah.
Right? There was that. There wasn't that for even as you said, even guys who were committed, bad guys, there really wasn't. You really knew Sonny wasn't going to die. You really knew Sonny wasn't going down. But
Right.
for you as Rick, you can hurt him in different ways
Mm.
than other people can. And I
Right.
just think that's very interesting. And that's why obviously I'm a big fan of you, Rick, but you coming back because, look, Frank's making some moves right now. Something's going on here. The
Yeah.
energy at the show is incredible. Bringing back people who like have so much value to the show, and it just putting you in the middle of us changes everything.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's touch points. That's what the show has always been about. And it's not that you can't create new story, bring in new characters,
Yeah.
right? Bradford came in. God bless. I remember the day that Bradford came in. He was
Yes.
this sort of like little nerdy tech guy that was going to be like, in and out. And I just watched him and was like, he was so, you were so full of life and idiosyncratic stuff to come into the scene. Bradford, it was so full of a character, not just like, I'm just here to kind of play this element of this story. He was like, you came in full, man, and obviously you took that and ran. So the great thing about being in this medium is that you want to be able to have the audience that they attach themselves to these characters, right?
1%. Yeah.
And it's important because for whatever way, if you root for them, you don't root for them. You could hate them, love to hate them, whatever, right? That's the draw of serial drama, right?
Yeah.
You're in somebody's, you still are to a certain extent in somebody's home, in somebody's world every single day, right? It's
Yeah.
that's
So let me ask you this, since you said I was going to ask you, it's been 8 years.
8 years since GH or 8 years since because you were on
since
since
she
GH because you were
Yeah.
on B and B for a bit. What was it?
So, yeah, the last time, look, the last time I was on any daytime show at all was 2016, May of 2016.
Okay.
I had moved to Atlanta, which is the last time I believe we spoke. I had
Yes.
moved there, kind of, change of life, change of geography, just kind of shaking it up. And when I moved there, I had I got called in for 2 episodes, and I didn't mention to them that I had moved. So
Sure.
I was in the nurse's station, and Frank comes up to me, and we're just chatting and everything. And I, I went, "You do realize that I've moved to Atlanta?" He was like, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "So, listen, if there's the opportunity," I said, to come back, I said a couple of episodes, just to make it worthwhile, to fly back and forth and so forth. And he was like, absolutely. And I think it was something that he had no idea, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was literally the last time I was on not only GH, but
Yes.
on any daytime show. So
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So let me ask you this question. Coming back as your character.
mhm.
And I say this just because when I left to go do Y&R for 4 years and do something completely different, when I came back here, it was really the first time I watched a lot of my work to see how to come back
Mhm.
as Jason. So
Right.
was there any kind of preparation, any kind of recalling things to kind of get right in? Was it just getting in the suit that felt good? What was it
Yeah,
for
no,
you?
that's yeah. The one thing, the one thing I always try to do, and I think any actor, Steve, as you said, tries to do is you want to come in you have to come in with your own history, your own intent, your own motivations, what have you. the thing that I this time did differently. I did try to catch up on the show and see sort of where all the pieces fit together.
Mm.
Because my cousin, who used to work in production there as well, who is out in New Jersey with me now, that's where I am. Yeah, that was the other thing. I was surprised. He said to me, he says, so if you thought it when I knew when I was coming back, he says, so if you thought where Rick has been at this point, I said, yes, but I'm reserving the right to make sure that I understand where these writers, who I didn't know who was helming at the time, these writers, their voice, what their intent is, where they think. I wanted to be open enough to hear that instead of have that preconceived notion. And then, because, sometimes, guys, you'll have, say, I have my idea of it. You come in and it's completely divergent with what they want to do.
Right,
and then you feel like you're playing catch up and knowing with the speed with which now I see we've always worked fast. But the speed at which we work now, you really have to have that, whatever performance you're wanting to bring at this point, you got to have it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no time to go, let's sort of work this out. It's like, if you can get with the individual actors, as we always have,
Yes.
that's our camaraderie. That's our communal like thing that we've got to do, right, to make it happen. But if you can't do that, you, in essence, two things will happen. One, it doesn't serve the show. Two, it ain't going to serve you, and
No.
you'll
I mean,
go,
that's more important now, Rick, than ever, as you saw
oh
just
my God.
the brief
Oh
time
my
that you were
God.
here. Like,
Yeah.
because remember back in the day when we were working so much, we still did that and we still had time on set.
Right.
Right. So it's like we have to run this thing 20 times downstairs to get what you're talking
Right.
about on stage.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I always felt like we had to do that anyway, but
Mhm.
now it's more than ever. Like, it's
Yeah,
just
it is.
crazy how
And
much
it's because, the thing is, like, it's more than, because the layperson goes, oh, how do you memorize all those lines? Yeah, yeah. That's like the last thing you want to,
Right.
like, that's step one. It's like,
Sure.
okay,
Step
I know
one.
what, the noun, verb, adjective is at this point.
Yeah.
But then kind of working through what you're bringing to the table and then what your partners are actually doing. And then now you want to take it up there and make it live.
Mm.
You want to be that flesh and bone person that will translate not just the words, but actually the intent and where the person
Sure.
is. Like, I had that yesterday. I had that moment yesterday, like working with certain characters, who will remain nameless at this
Sure.
point. And the key for me was to, really kind of explore, again, where these characters are, and they come together after all of this time. And, even though it was that was then, this is now moment, you have to take that history into it, and you have to try to meet in the middle somewhere. And
Sure.
when I was working this out, as you say, Steve, 20 times, we're going back and forth and back and forth. And it's a very, very pace driven scene emotionally as well. There's a lot of emotion in there. And when you get that, the emotion, it's like, how do we match it? And not let it run away, and also not try to play catch up with it, right? Somewhere.
Yeah.
And in this case, it was great, because once you get on stage, you want to let that go. You want to do that. And I felt like there was a level of history that was just coming out sort of naturally. It was nuts. It was really,
Yeah, that's
really
awesome. And I'm going to let Bradford talk here in 1 second, but
yeah, poor guy. It's
I
like,
Oh
just have
no,
a
this
lot
is
of,
great.
like,
I
wait a
have a
minute.
lot of questions
I know,
today.
so do I. So do I. This is great.
I have a lot of questions today. So, Rick, you've been out of the game, whatever, 7, 8 years, right? And I know you've been busy in your life and living life and all that stuff with your family, and you're back in Jersey, surrounded by family and all these things. So my question is, as we grow older and we grow as human beings, perspective changes, right?
Yeah.
So how did it feel just coming back? Like,
It was and is still, because I'm just fresh in it. It's
yeah,
home. It's you realize it felt you realize, I know I speak sort of broadly, but you realize how deeply connected you are, how deeply connected I was to this show, right? How much a part of it, it was, you know, my family for XY amount of years, how much of yourself you put into it. So it was the first, I mean, literally my first day, I felt like I was very out of body. Like I jumped, I was on a plane one day. I arrived the later in that day. I'm staying with friends in Los Angeles. And you know, that alone was just kind of trying to get my bearings. And then I knew my first day I was coming in, I was like, preparation takes care of everything. So
100%.
walking into the, like coming onto the lot, walking through the doors, you know, knowing that so much has changed, you know, with the different, you know, whether it's actors that are no longer with us or whether it's production people like Nika Garland are no longer with us, that all of that is very, very emotional for me. But it's very, very much revisiting. And Dominic, he came up to me in the hallway yesterday because you know me, Steve and Bradford. I'm a roamer. I can't stay in my room. I'm constantly moving around. I have to talk with people. I just, you know,
right, of course.
Right. And he goes, what are you doing? Walking around the house so everybody goes, oh, you're back. I said, of course, you know, I was up on set and I came up to him and I went, Dominic, hey, like, oh, Rick, you're back. And I said, yeah.
Rick.
I said, now I'm doing it on set.
Rick's knocking on everybody's door.
Yeah,
hey guys, I'm back.
Hi, you know.
Not sure who you are, but I'm Rick.
Yeah. But it's very much, it is a very, very much a full circle thing. You know, I've you know, my life has gone in a lot of different directions. You know, as actors, we become so myopic and laser focused in one direction for most of our, and when we're younger, like when you said, and when we start to, you know, we develop families and you know, we have different experiences, whether we, you know, get involved in different businesses or whatever, different passions, whatever. Hopefully you're doing that. I think the older now that I am, the greatest advice I could give any young actor is live your life while you have this great gift of being able to be a storyteller, right? And be passionate about that and don't take it for granted. And that's I think the biggest thing that I've noticed over the years. It's wonderful. It's, you know, the fact I look at this very much as a gift at this point in my life. And
sure,
you know, it all kind of it all connects for me wherever I go and whatever I do. So
amazing. I want to ask some geographical questions. So where, you know, from when the audience saw Rick leave, do we know where he went? Not to say we know where he's coming from now, but like just because I'm not sure if that's part of the storyline that we don't want to reveal just yet.
Yeah,
but where did he go? I forgot what was the exit story. I don't remember.
There was no exit story.
Oh.
There really wasn't. It was, you know, as I say, it's like the guy went to the water cooler and he just never came back, right? And I think the last thing I had gone off was like on some, you know, fact-finding mission or something for Sonny to find Jocelyn, I think. This was a long time ago, right?
Well, she's been found.
Yeah, she was found. I was like, whoa, that took that long. So yeah, that was the last thing that I had done. And there was no sort of earth-shattering, like, get out sort of thing. Or
right.
Like,
didn't go to prison.
Didn't go to prison.
Didn't die.
Fall down a ravine. Didn't like, you know, you know, didn't come back with plastic surgery. My mother-in-law backed me up. She goes, because she watches the show now, and which she didn't watch it when I was on. She watches it now. Which, I talk with my niece, you know, in Texas about it, and, you know, we love it and this and that. And I was like, hello. Like, was on for a while. But now she's like, she said, we were sitting at the dinner table one night when she found out, and I swore to secrecy. I said, she says, so are you coming back as the same character? And I just went, yes. Who else would I come back as? Which, oh, I don't know, maybe you come back. It's like, nope, same guy,
Right.
same guy. But yeah, there wasn't any sort of like, major earth-shattering story as to
Okay.
how I exited,
All right. Well, then
different
the
stuff.
other.
It was a whole different writing team at that point.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe Ron Carlivati was just exited, and then I unfortunately I don't remember the writers that had just come on because
Sure.
they literally come on. I was there a week, 2 week, and I did those 2 episodes, and that was it. So I think there was a much different direction, and also there are other characters that did come in that had similar energies. I think James Patrick Stewart, for instance, he has that sort of edge, that sort of, polished, like refined energy about him. And I love John, I love him. He's an extraordinary actor. So I would watch that from time to time and go, oh, Valentin, yeah, that fills that that portion of the show that they need that kind of a character.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
And then geographically, life wise, so you were in Atlanta for a bit. You guys, your mom was there at the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Um,
Whole
and
family.
right,
Yep.
and you had some businesses. You got connected with. I know you were teaching down there. You had a creative community down there. I catch us up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I moved there in 2016, really. Just had been in Los Angeles for 20 years and work was kind of here, there. And I just wanted to shake things up and be in a different environment and see where my life could go. And I did. I started teaching there. I actually
With Natalia, right?
with Natalia. I connected with
Yeah.
Natalia. She had a company that she had formed there, Actor Boutique, and she was very successful with it. And we'd connected, and she asked me, she says, "Would you want to teach?" I said, "I was actually hoping that you would ask." And we did some really great stuff, and I formed some great relationships. Have some wonderful students. Some of them are working now, which is great. It's lovely to see. And then we also, my mom and I. Uh, um, Decided after all this time to start a food business, and it really took off. It's called Nona's Family Kitchen, and we don't really at this point now, being in New Jersey, we don't really do it that much because it's grueling. I
Oh
had I
yeah.
started 20 years ago, yeah, maybe, but still,
Sure.
it's very much physically demanding. Like
Now, do you mean catering? Is that what you guys were doing?
catering, well, we did a lot, Steve. I mean, we started with the intent of catering, but then we would go to different farmers markets there. It's a
Yes.
big scene, a very big foodie scene in Atlanta,
Awesome.
as you well know. And so we were, you'd buy space at a table and then
Sure.
you kind of sell your wares of all kinds and a lot of food. So there was no Italian. So we kind of jumped in there. We started with sauce. And people caught on to that. We made like a few $100s a person. We were like, And then my mom looks at me, and of course, my mom has ideas all the time. She goes, "What if we start doing some like, different foods like chicken parm, like, and package it so people can take it home, basically take and bake items."
Right.
And we did that. And one item turned into two, turned into three, turned into that. And before we knew it, we had 9 SKUs and varying sizes. And we had grown the business to doing approximately $250,000 a year.
Wow.
And
Awesome, man.
this was
Good for you.
just the family.
Right.
Yeah.
Hence why, grueling. And we grew it to a certain level. And then COVID hit. And that's when it really took off because it was all
Take and
everybody,
bake. Yeah.
DoorDash and all of that. So our business really took off from that point. But you know what? The thing that we started to realize, my mom, and I are very, very close. And Donna's Pilates business, my wife teaches Pilates, has for years. Her Pilates business was really thriving. We've made some other connections and wonderful people we had met there. But the biggest thing for me, coming from an Italian family, at least on my mom's side, is anchors. I have to have an anchor, right?
Mm.
Natalia and Matt, her husband, and their kids, Hux and Coco, they're beautiful and we love them. And that was our anchor there. But my mom, was getting older, and New Jersey, we have cousins everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And cousins that my mother grew up with in Italy. So
Sure.
in her later years, I felt she I'll be very honest with you. She looked at me cold in the face second year there and said, please don't let me die here. I went, oh, okay. Well,
Okay.
that's,
Okay.
well, okay, we got it, Mom.
All
And
right.
then it actually took 4 more years because COVID and everything else. And there was just, we had come back here actually for, unfortunately, a funeral in 2018. And not 2018, I'm sorry, in 2020. And was it 2020? I can't remember. Anyway, it was a little bit ago. And we kind of looked around and came back, and we kind of made the decision, and we packed up 3 houses, and oof, I don't
Oh,
wish that
wow.
on anybody. It was a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a stressful time. But we knew that we were all gonna come together.
Yeah.
My mom had always said, we should get a compound and all of us living together. And that's actually what we wound up doing. My mom, my mother-in-law, Donna, myself, my boys came with. At that time, they were living with us when we first got there 2 years ago. And they have since moved out. My youngest son, Cameron, is married. And really, it's really lovely. He and his husband live there, and his brother lives with them too, like two-bedroom, 2-bath place that they've got about 6 minutes away.
Amazing.
We have cousins 5 minutes to the left of us down the street, 5 minutes to the right. I've got friends in the city, other actors I worked with on Guiding Light. It's just, that is home in terms
Yeah.
of geography, like you
Sure.
were saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, listen, research shows that you just added years onto your mom's life for putting her around family that she
My
wants to be
purpose, dude. That's that's
100%.
all that matters to me ever
Yeah.
is my family at large, my wife, my mother, my mother-in-law, my kids. That's,
Yeah.
you guys know me, and you're the same ways. This is the beauty of daytime,
Yes.
is that it's the single medium I feel that most affords us the opportunity to have lives.
Both.
Both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
awesome, man. So
Well-
happy you're back, dude.
Me too.
Dude, just the weave is wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice when look, you gotta be available and open to it.
Yeah.
There have been moments where I had to let go to a certain extent of
Yeah.
where I was, and also be open to, I started my real estate career in New Jersey as well. It's now going very, very well. It takes time, but I find it's very interesting also the correlation of how it all fits together, right? Like it comes and goes, much like work as an actor. You're constantly dealing with different personalities and whatnot. And it's something that I really enjoy. But the great part is, of course, the second you go, it's like, this is my direction. Ring.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Of course.
You don't know. It's not if you're going to work, as a teacher used to tell me years ago, it's when you're going to work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As long as you keep that in mind, you go, great. It's always going to be there.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. I hope our characters.
I
come
hope
into
I get a
contact.
chance to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome
How's
back.
I mean, I know you got a finite time, but Bradford, how's the wife? How's your kids?
Everybody's good, man. Everybody's good. Like our life is great. We've found a great life up here in Northern California, and we've found the best of both worlds for sure. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Love it.
Are you going to be at Fan Club Weekend this weekend?
That's this weekend?
Oh
That's
yeah.
That's this weekend. I mean, it's as all things have, it's evolved. It's a little smaller than it was back at the Sportsman's Lodge.
Yeah.
But if I don't know if you're in LA this weekend, you should come.
I am.
Yeah.
I didn't know, and I had not planned on it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you're invited or what.
Surprise appearance.
I mean-
Bradford just invited you.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, I'm emceeing the luncheon on Saturday. It's 11 to 3, like the old days. So
okay.
yeah.
buddy.
So let's make it happen. All right.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, man. Well, we can't wait to see what happens, and we're so glad to have you back, dude.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Rick
I really
Lansing,
appreciate it.
everybody.
Yes.